traders. Plumb the depths of their experience to make sense of a world gone completely insane. Subscribe for the word. Like and leave a comment. Stranger by the Hour.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Stranger by the Hour, episode 161 on September 14th, 2025. And I'm super stoked about tonight, man, because we have the return of the meme lord.
Yeah.
Winston Montag, a.k.a. Prophetic Memetics, across all of the electronic spheres out there. What's up, buddy?
Well, what's up? I'm glad to be back. And I mean, I used to be across all the spheres. I got my pages banned on September 11th, of course. So
That's right. So you sent that message. So what they drop? Your IG and what got dropped?
they deleted my Facebook and my Instagram page, my personal page. So 3 pages basically I lost on
And what exactly for again?
2 months ago, the Florida Surgeon General recommended that Florida counties stop fluoridating their water. At this point, we're in the minority of Florida counties that have not removed fluoride from the water. I've been doing this for about 20 years. It took this long before someone in government finally caught up and brought this to everyone's attention. At this point, Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, and Escambia still fluoridate parts of their water. If the ECUA or anyone on this panel believes that they know more than the Florida Surgeon General or the Florida court that ruled that it lowers the IQ of children, then they should publicly have a debate here. You can invite the Florida Surgeon General here and you can debate him publicly. If Lois Benson knows more than the Florida Surgeon General, she should put that forward. If not, I would like to know why you've spent 2 months doing absolutely nothing to remove this toxin from our water. We spend money on this.
Mr. You know we don't regulate the ECUA.
But you are county commissioners, and you are responsible for for our safety. You have the power to stand up and demand that the ECUA bring this to the public's attention. If the other day, one of my friends talked to, well, I'll just say a member of the ECUA board, because he was pretty friendly, so I don't want to throw anybody out there. But he didn't really know about some of this stuff. And if the guy who's in charge of our water doesn't know about some of this stuff, then how can the population know about this stuff? And if the population doesn't know about this stuff, then how can you have informed consent? How can you have informed consent to medicate society with something that's basically not fluoride at all? It's an industrial waste. And you can look this up. You all have computers in your hands. You don't have the right to do this. And it should have been taken out of the water a long time ago. And all I'm asking you to do is to put this before the public, to put your pressure that you have in your office to demand that the ECUA publicly have some kind of forum and invite the Surgeon General here and put their information against his. And if you can't do that, then who's protecting us? I've contacted the ECUA and they didn't contact me back. I went to the Santa Rosa Commission. I'll be at the Okaloosa Commission as well. And I realize that I'm just some guy and you don't know me, and that's fine. That's cool. But I promise you can look me in the eyes. Hundreds of millions of people have seen my work. I have a far more powerful voice than you can imagine. People have translated my words into other languages. You might believe whatever you want to see about Larry. Larry's an honorable man. He'll vouch for what I'm saying. Do not fire me up. If I have to start taking people and putting your name all over Graffiti Bridge like I've done before, I will do that. Someone is going to stand up in this county and do the right thing, or I'm going to get really irritated and turn your faces into memes and find out who is responsible for this, and I'll flood every forum with your faces. Somebody stand up for us, or I'm going to start raising hell.
you never know. It's violation of community standards.
Okay, so they don't tell you exactly.
They never really do. And I mean, it's not the first time that I've been picked apart or I've been taken off while I was picking apart a PSYOP in real time. So
yeah, I think that's the problem is if you go after it while it's happening, they have a problem. But if they're happy to let every truther channel pontificate about anything they want after the fact.
Yeah, and it was 9/11 and I was already posting fresh 9/11 memes. It was 9/11. I was already posting those memes, and then I was obviously getting into the Charlie Kirk stuff and then examining all that stuff too. And they had just forced me on Facebook to make my profile professional or whatever. And I had said like, oh man, this is going to be the end. They're going to put me in that professional mode. And they're going to get me. And it probably wasn't 2 weeks later that I lost my pages or whatever. So
wow, that's interesting. That push to go to a professional mode, is that based on how you use your account or how many subscribers you have or something? Or
I don't know. I just had friends. I didn't even know I had like a couple thousand followers until they just told me I'd have to make it professional or whatever. And I just didn't do anything. I never do what they want me to do. Anyway.
right, you just ignore it.
Yeah, and I ignored it, and it went professional. I was like, oh, I had like 2,300 followers or something, plus my friends, It was not a big deal. It wasn't many people, but it was enough where I was getting more of an audience. And, and every time that happens, something usually happens to me. So I've lost 50,000 people and more than that. So it's like, 5,000 people on a couple pages wasn't really no big deal. It's just,
have you noticed a pattern as to like what you do to break baseline? Is it like the number? Because they are clearly aware of who you are, what you're doing. You want to? I mean, we could recap real quick. It's been a while since we talked. Like maybe on your history of getting blasted off social media.
Sure. I started as a normal activist, just kind of handing out flyers and DVDs back in 2005, 2006. Around 2000, I made my first memes and. Probably in 2010 around the Gulf disaster, Fukushima, stuff like that. But I didn't really know they were called memes then. And then around 2013, the smartphones kind of came out, and I downloaded the meme app one time to make fun of them, and ended up making a bunch of viral stuff. Didn't know it was going viral. Started challenging these websites that had big followings because they were copying what I was saying word for word and putting their name on it. And then they ended up realizing that I was the one making all this viral stuff. Got hired by a few places. In 2018, I was targeted by the Atlantic Council along with about 500 other truth pages who were taken off on the same day. And then after that, I took a break for a couple years and then got back on during COVID and then started up again and had a bunch of stuff go viral again and got taken out again about a year later or so after that. So, yeah, just been making memes for about, I guess technically like 15 years now.
Memes are such an interesting, and it's no wonder that the Atlantic Council, comes after you, because these are the kind of people that know the power of that medium. And, I think a lot of people consume memes and they don't even really understand how powerful it is, how quickly a meme can propagate. So it's hard to describe something, in the fullness, okay. Like let's say, Tower 7 or something, some sort of concept that would take a bunch of time to explain, or something about wearing masks while you're driving around in your own car, how stupid that is or whatever. Yeah. You could take a few sentences and describe to somebody why that's stupid, or make a joke or something. And those things can be kind of effective. But in a lot of ways, if you take imagery that people are already familiar with, like a meme often will have some sort of cultural reference or something, and then you overlay that, on this current paradigm, and you point to the ridiculousness of it. It's like that. It gets in like that, and you immediately understand. You're like, yeah, that is stupid. You know what I mean? And it's so powerful, so much more powerful than a pundit running his mouth, or a press secretary from the State Department trying to explain some nonsense. No, you just show them a picture of the bombs and the kids flying through the air and the hut destroyed or something, and people get it.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely it's a new art form, but it's a powerful art form. There's no doubt about it, because we all have these devices in our hands where we can share this stuff, and memes go across so many different platforms that it opens a lot of doors for me that I'm not even on some of those platforms. My stuff's on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. As soon as I tried to get on TikTok, they were banning me immediately. So,
yeah,
my stuff's on TikTok all over.
That's powerful too. So people, we have this conception of what's you don't have power unless you have a bunch of people, 50 million followers, and they know your name or something specifically. Well, yeah, that's one form of personal. You can gain from that personally, monetarily, things like that. You can get influence, overtly, be overtly influential. But what you're doing is, if you can create this piece of art, which is a meme is a piece of art, and then you send it out into the world, and then it propagates on its own. Yeah, maybe you don't get the credit. Maybe they kick you off all the socials. They can kick you off everything, but there's no way they can actually stop you, because they can't kick everybody off every account all the time. And as long as you have access to the internet, you can unleash these fucking things on the world and watch where they go, which is pretty cool.
That's right. And I also have a lot of good friends that still have their followings. And so even when they kick me off, they just come find me and take my work and share it. So, I mean,
right.
Like I have a really good friend, Justin Robert. I was with Justin Harvey. He lives in Orlando, and he's a really good friend of mine. He's an activist, done a lot of great stuff. He's the guy who exposed the Challenger, made the Challenger thing go viral, all the astronauts being alive, all that stuff. We were just talking about.
Yeah.
So he's an awesome person. But when I wasn't, he was one of the reasons people that got me to come back, because he kept sending me like screenshots of, because I was making memes and just putting them on Telegram, just because I like making memes. And he was sending screenshots of me getting like 10,000 likes on some guy I'd never heard of his page. And he's like, your stuff's still everywhere. Like, just keep making stuff. I'll make sure it gets out. And I had other friends who come and find me. So, as soon as I got banned, I had a backup profile, and it was with my normie friends. And then I just got on there and was like, all right, you guys better get ready, because this profile is my new profile. So you might as well delete me or unfollow me, because I'm about to start blasting. This isn't going to be a normal page anymore. And and then all my friends came and joined me there, and then all my memes are going back out. So, that the art form and the way it is, all I have to do is produce them and have people with a following come find me, and then they'll share them. And I don't care. I go by Winston Montag. That's not my real name. That's Winston Smith from 1984.
Right.
Guy Montag from Fahrenheit 451. I got friends who just realized today that wasn't my real name. I'm like, yeah, that's just a character I made up, So I don't care about being popular or getting money or any of that stuff. I've gained popularity, not intentionally, and I've gained money, but that was like, none of that was ever the mission. It's just a byproduct of making viral stuff. But I also quit jobs because I wouldn't support people who were pushing stuff that I didn't believe in. And, I went back to doing construction when I was getting paid to make memes, just because I'd rather do construction than support a website that I don't believe in and let them use my work to push false narratives. Like, I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the reasons why you're so targeted is the meme thing. I think it's Richard Dawkins that gets credit for the actual term, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think the concept is far older. I grabbed a couple books for this conversation, and then the first one that I brought, I wasn't expecting us to jump in this early, but is a Secret Teachings of All Ages from Manly P. Hall, right? And I think one of the reasons why, once again, I say you're so targeted is because these memes have been used throughout the years through different mechanisms of control, right? Like when you think about the theater, the Greek word theater does roughly translate to like the God show, so so they were using theater to show the populace the correct way of acting, or to show them truths, right? So like Francis Bacon is using Shakespeare to put very deep truths out in almost the mimetic way of the theater. It's like they didn't have a picture, so they couldn't make a snapshot. But even artists that paint still lifes, and the artists are known in their paintings for using the painting as a meme.
It's just a clever idea that's replicated and shared. So if it's an artist way back then, if you can put something kind of hidden or something that makes people think, and it has a way of resonating because it's true, that's powerful, man. That's a truth. You guys know the truth is powerful. It's just got a way of working its way into your brain. And look at all this Charlie Kirk stuff that's going on. Like right now, there's so many people that are looking at it going, who are normies, who are going, I don't know if that guy made that shot. I don't know if this, and there's so much stuff going on. And it's because we get out there and go, just these little pieces of information. You don't have to make your mind up. You don't have to be like, I know for sure this happened. You can just be like, hey, what's up with this thing? Hey, what's up with this video?
So as we start moving into like the symbolism we're going to talk about around Charlie Kirk, I'm just going to read a couple passages from this book. So this book, Secret Teaching of All Ages, I believe it was published in 1923. So 1923, this is like, it's been on the shelf for a while, but there's a couple things in here that are pretty good. Let me read this over here. The arcana of the ancient mysteries were never revealed to the profane except through the media of symbols. Symbolism fulfilled the dual office of concealing the sacred truths from the uninitiated and revealing them to those qualified to understand the symbols. Turn a page. Forms are the symbols of formless divine principles. Symbolism is the language of nature. With reverence, the wise pierce the veil and with clear vision contemplate the reality. But the ignorant, unable to distinguish between the false and the true, behold a universe of symbols. So it's essentially like putting it out right there that all truth is contained in the symbol, which is like the forward-facing reality from the form itself, right? So he talks about a lot of symbols in here. Or a lot of cryptograms. He talks about a lot of cryptograms in here, and he kind of numbers them out as to like a cipher code is a cryptogram. He clearly talks about symbols being cryptograms in here. So example, if you were to write out a sentence and you were to use a every fifth letter makes the actual meaning of the sentence type thing. That's one version. Like symbols in themselves, like a triangle with an all-seeing eye, or a pyramid with an all-seeing eye. It's clearly a cryptogram. But one of the things he says in here that I like from 1923 is there are also codes used by the business world which can be solved only by the use of private code book. Because they furnish an economical and efficient method of transmitting confidential information, the use of such codes is far more prevalent than the average person has any suspicion. That's from 1923, man. So, we're about to start talking about some reoccurring things like the number 33, like this type, like broads with diamond encrusted fucking gold rings. So I've been kind of letting this. I don't know shit about Charlie Kirk personally. I know a minuscule amount about him, just because he's not my cup of tea. I never really looked into the dude, man. And I've been like reserving judgment, so I probably know the least about it right now. So you guys want to kick in? Like, Winston, what's your take?
Well, I first became familiar with his work probably with the Gumballs immigration thing. I don't know if you ever saw that back when they first came out. I think that was like their first thing that went viral. I used to make fun of it because it was like using gumballs to explain immigration. I don't know if maybe one of the gumballs was poison. I don't remember what the analogy was, but it was like immigration is a little more complex than gumballs can explain. So I was kind of making fun of it, and to me, he was always. I always he was just kind of a useful idiot to me. Like I didn't get the bad vibe kind of stuff that you get off of a Ben Shapiro.
But no, I agree with you. Yeah, he's like you get the feeling like, although he's like dorky, like a spurg, like he seems like a kid, obviously he's an evangelical dispensationalist, pro-Zionist Christian, and, cradle Christian from birth, raised that way. Right. And very dorky, very like, but has a skill set. Like he's pretty gifted at arguing, not against somebody that's probably intellectually equipped to actually argue with him, but with the target audience that he goes after, which is these college kids. But you don't get, like you said, you don't get the vibe like Ben Shapiro where you're like, that's an evil goblin.
Right. And the thing was, I always kind of enjoyed him because I agreed with some of the stuff he talked about. And I at first I felt like he was punching down by going to those college kids. But then when you realize so much of the programming is happening at these colleges, that it makes sense.
He is going right to the right spot. But just on his background real quick, before we get into the rest, like just the important thing to know about Turning Point USA is that this was an organization that was built on an influx of capital from all these pro-Zionist organizations like Miriam Adelson, Bill Ackerman, whatever his name is. Netanyahu himself was hugely invested in Charlie Kirk. Like they had a personal relationship where Netanyahu would call Charlie Kirk on the phone and, give him either positive or negative feedback based on what he has a close relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu like that. Okay. So this is the level. And he was, as soon as he died, Netanyahu and everybody else that's pro-Israel is like memorializing him. This was a stalwart, warrior for Israel, blah, 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 blah. So that's in the background. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yes, but if you look, like Netanyahu tried to blame it on Muslims, that was his stick. However, over recently, there's a lot of evidence that Charlie Kirk was starting to wake up and starting to ask questions.
Exactly right.
And I didn't know. Right. Like I saw Tucker do that speech at Turning Point, but I didn't make the connection with Charlie. And I didn't know like some of the recent information is coming out is like Netanyahu offered him money to buy Turning Point. And he turned him down. And that, more and more. And if you look, there was an interview he just did recently with Ben Shapiro where he's asking him questions. You can tell Charlie has it figured out and he's asking him some hard questions. He's doing it in his friendly way. But one of the things I always liked about Charlie was that he was really good at debate. And the thing that makes me believe that he really was because if you are good at debate, then you understand how to have a debate and you know when you're losing the debate because you don't use straw man arguments. And you're like, oh, I can't really answer these questions. And what was happening was that at these Turning Point events, this other group was showing up that were Christian, but they didn't like Israel. And they started asking him tough questions on Israel. He couldn't really answer those questions properly. And,
so
as a smart person, he started to change his mind. And I really do believe the more I look at this, the more I think, man, he was a threat to them, because Tucker's like an old hag. Like he's an old shill. He's been around for a long time. Fox News people watch him, but young people listen to Charlie. And if Charlie had come out and started going, Epstein's really connected to Israel, which he was starting to say.
He did say that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the more you see this and the more you realize, like, how powerful this guy was and where he was starting to go, who benefits from this? It's not Republicans. It's not Democrats. But Israel benefits when we fight like this. Israel benefits when 3 hours later they block the Epstein files and nobody's paying attention to it because everybody's talking about Charlie Kirk. I mean,
and Israel, like they're at an existential. They're having an existential crisis right now. They understand very well that they are on the verge. Like, as soon as the baby boomers die, they're fresh out of support around here, and this is why, like, he's pointing at, like, this Charlie Kirk, for him to back off his support for Israel and be as influential as he was among right-wing young Americans. And, like, you go to these college campuses and there's, like, kids, dude, you saw the one where he got shot at. It's like,
yeah, it was packed,
dude. It seems weird to me that there's that. I mean, it's cool, but there's that many, like, right-wing kids in colleges,
or just people willing to listen.
So yeah, it makes total sense to me. And then it's like a little rich that, who steps in to take the helm at Turning Point USA? Ben Shapiro. So they've officially announced, like, Ben Shapiro is going to be taking over which is like, it's like, you guys got to make it less obvious, guys. Come on,
Yeah, it's going to be Turning Point Israel now.
But yeah, right.
Well, I'm fully convinced that what happens sometimes in the reality that we look at in the meta narrative is that people are sculpted for a long period of time for a specific purpose, right? And I'm not saying that this is what happened here. I'm just saying that this is something that I give a lot of credence to in my mind that could happen, right? It's kind of funny to me as I'm just letting this whole situation soak and, like, looking at the different aspects of it, that a lot of people are pretty pissed off about this, right? Rightfully so. And just for the record, I believe in natural law. Like, I think Mark Passio puts it out most succinctly, but somebody stole from Charlie that day. He was exercising his speech, which is a freedom from fucking God. Somebody got on a rooftop and stole from Charlie. Like, that person deserves to die. So what happened was theft. That's fucking wrong. They stole his life. They stole his ability to speak.
Yeah.
I'm 1,000% against that shit. Now I'm going to keep talking shit. Okay. So back to that. Like, I would not be surprised, because the name of the show is Turning Point USA, and a lot of people on the right, the crazy fucking, the Christian Reich, which I think is rapidly fucking building, are saying that this is a turning point for the USA. I'm like, really? So the guy that just got shot, who's the leader of Turning Point USA, they're using as a turning point in the USA. I'm like, are you guys that fucking lazy writers? Like, is that, I mean, that's just me on my bullshit to steal Aaron's line, but, like, it wouldn't surprise me that they wouldn't find a guy like Charlie, craft him for fucking, just to have it in the wings, man. And, if and when he starts malfunctioning, because I heard him on a Patrick Bet David clip basically asking questions about October 7th. Like, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
The most surveilled border in the history of borders. You let dudes in fucking paragliders.
Yeah, because
Like,
he's one of the guys that buys into the whole thing about the IDF being, like, an army full of high-tech Rambos or something, you know what I mean? So he's pumped up full of how great Israel, the most technologically advanced border on the planet. So he's like, and he's not dumb. So the two things don't line up, and he's like, but of course, like, he's got a bunch of people in his ear trying to tell him the truth. Like, he was saying, like, hey man, like, these are, for someone who understands logic, and he has to use logic in order to win debates. Like he was mentioning, like, that's not gonna, dude, you're gonna come up with all these contradictions, and if you have any integrity at all, which it sounds like he probably did, he had enough integrity at least to as his little fantasy about Israel started to unravel, he was talking about it.
Yeah, and that's what actually makes me feel bad. Like, you feel bad when anybody gets shot, but to me it was like, I remember, like, him basically saying, like, there was no genocide in Gaza and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, all right, man, you kind of cheer for stuff like that. Whatever happens, happens.
You're the game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, like, I don't mean it's okay, but, you support that kind of stuff. Well, it's only so sorry I'm going to feel for you. Yeah. However, man, if you were waking up and you had the integrity to know your life was on the line and you're still going, hey, Israel's only 45 minutes, like a helicopter ride, and for 6 hours, they're just letting these guys Like he was asking real logical, and that makes me really sad because like that was a powerful voice. And so like at first when they're like, oh, he's a martyr, it was like, oh, give me a break. But the more you look into this, and if that is the truth, and that is what he did, and he got killed for that, that martyr thing ain't quite so crazy. And just
go ahead.
Just to address because let's be fair. There's a whole nother part of our movement that's like none of this happened. It's all fake. Well, and part of that problem is there's that AI video where his ring switches fingers.
That seems who knows what that is though? You know,
I haven't seen it.
Can I give my opinion?
Yeah, please. So tell him what you're talking about first. He hasn't seen it.
Okay, well, there's a video of right when he's going back, his ring is on his ring finger, and it immediately switches to his pinky finger as he's going back. I mean, it's immediate, and most of them are blurry, but there's a very clear one where you can see it, and it definitely switches fingers in like an instant. Which, as we all know, AI has problems with hands and that, so everybody's like, look at that. But then at the same time, they're saying he's wearing a squib. Well, why would you need an AI video if you're wearing a squib? If there's 1,000 people there with cameras, like you wouldn't need to make an AI video. But why you would make an AI video is to distract people and make them think it's fake. And so they'd sit there and argue about this video where the video is probably fake, but that doesn't mean the shot is fake. But one of the most interesting things that I've been looking at today is, you know, what's funny about that is because I've never seen anything like that and if you've seen the real one, it is a gusher that comes out of his neck. It is extreme, right? Well, the problem with that is, and you guys know as soldiers, that looks more like an exit wound. Exit wounds explode. Like entry wounds are different. And what's really strange is there's a guy on his left, on his shoulder.
Yeah, that's doing a weird.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Hand under his arm like this, and
I've seen that one.
Dude, and when I first watched it, I'm like, that looks like that bullet traveled across his body, and that's why his shirt ripples, and that's why he goes back like that.
Which is like JFK. I was about to say shades of JFK. Exactly. Yeah.
So how does his body react? His body doesn't react like boom. His body reacts like boom. And if you look, there is a guy there, and I was talking to my buddy Justin. He's like, why would there not be a muzzle flash? Something we're talking. Well, maybe it's some new tech. And if it is some new tech, like they had a heart attack back in the day,
you wouldn't even need new tech, like a suppressed integrated, so like a handgun with an integrated suppressor, which they make now.
Subsonic ammo
could be concealable, could be like a, you know, people picture like some sort of like a Glock with a full size suppressor on. It's kind of large. It would be unwieldy, but they have these integrated suppressor handguns that are just like a kind of squarish looking handgun. It would be easy to conceal subsonic ammo. Just on this topic, like coming from our background, it was having some experience doing deception planning for the military. Then again, like I think these are all kind of military grades, psychological operations. You know, I definitely believe he was shot and killed, but I think that what happens is when a deception planner is going to do something physical in the environment. So let's just say, I don't know, we're going to have a bunch of barrels full of fuel blow up near a town in Iraq, you know, and with the idea of making them believe that a bomb was dropped there or just whatever, right? So something, who cares what it is, but we're going to make something blow up in the environment. Okay. That's going to have whatever effect it's going to have. We're either going to fool the people into believing the thing or not. Okay. So the physical thing is going to have whatever effect it's going to have, but we're going to layer a bunch of other executions in the environment to either capitalize on what we just did, you know, or to layer some more stuff on to make it more believable. So like maybe that explosion is backed up with a whisper campaign where we have people in the environment talking to other people in the environment saying, did you see that bomb drop in the field? That was crazy. And then maybe we have some text messages go out, you know, that talk about it or whatever. You're right. So we're backing up something physical with a bunch of other, and I think like what you talked about, these AI videos, right? If part of this execution is to sow, to further fracture, you know, the youth movement around Charlie Kirk, or do whatever. Who knows what kind of chaos they're trying to sow so that they can eventually control it and do their whole dialectic bullshit. So I'm just saying, I think that those videos that are like the ring moves and you know, it's just to cause confusion, and I think it's just them backing up their observable with some other shit.
That's exactly what I believe as well. And that's the thing, is that you have to be doing this for a long time to have the discernment to go, well, maybe this thing is fake, but the problem with our movement is a lot of people are like instantly trying to solve the crime in 2 hours. They're like, I know this is it. Like, I had one guy like, open your eyes. Like, I've been doing this 20 years, bro. You ain't got to tell me to open my eyes. I'm telling you, experience tells me that this takes weeks and sometimes months. And sometimes
to get
you
to
still don't know. You still don't really know You just have your best theory with based on the best available evidence, but you have to let all that evidence come out. You can't already debunk the official story when they haven't even made the official story yet. You got to let them make their lies up. But I agree 100%. Like, that's what I was trying to tell people. Like, just because this video is fake doesn't mean the shooting is fake. Like they'll do this stuff just to muddy the waters because that's what they do. And there's two levels of COINTELPRO. There's the level that goes at normies, and then there's the level that goes at us. And the level that goes at us is more complex because they know we're more discerning. They know we do more research. We ask more questions. And so, as you know, they'll conclude some truth with some lies, and because they know that there's some people. And then, of course, we have these bots and these, as you say, the whisper campaign of people going like, "Oh, why don't you believe? Oh, man, you buy that stuff. Everybody's an actor." Like, no, not everybody is an actor. There are actors, but it's not everyone. And what that really does is to make us look insane, right? Because all these normie people just saw this guy's neck explode on TV or on their phone, right? And so when you even mention that maybe it's not true, they're going to immediately dismiss everything you say, and then you won't be able to get in the information like, hey, you know what he was talking about Israel? You know what I mean? Because they're going to associate what you say about Israel with what you said about it not being real. And it makes us all look bad when you're pushing theories that can't really be proven. It's good to examine the evidence, but you shouldn't accept it immediately and just be like, that's my theory, I'm sticking with it. That's not what, homicide detectives don't solve the crime in the first 5 minutes. They take time, they look at it,
Yeah. The people that were texting me pretty soon after, that's pretty much what I responded, which was like, hey man, I'm gonna let this soak for a while because when they capture the guy, that's going to add another layer. Like there's going to be more layers to the story. Like I'm still in the kind of reserve judgment mode to figure out what the overarching scam is. Like some of the universal adapters to this scam are of course pre-crime, or of course surveillance, but I'm letting it simmer a little bit more before I like fully kind of thing. But to reinforce one of the things that Aaron said, when I got taught in the military deception planners course, what he was talking about layering effects, they actually called it the rule of threes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes some of the instructors would call it like the magic number of threes. And of course, me sitting in the back, I'm like, what? The what?
Like it took 33 hours for them to find this. Yeah.
Right. And we would also call it like a push, pull. There would be like, we would layer it like 2 pushes and a pull, like, hey, if we want to move a guy from one country to another country, we might give him 2 reasons to leave that country. And then the pull would be 1 reason to go to the other country. It's like, so, maybe we rat him out to the local cops. That's fucking push number 1 in his environment. And maybe we, depending on what the environment looks like, maybe we do like a radio broadcast with a top 10 most wanted, and that fucking has his name in it, like that's another push. And then, maybe in that third country, some Tinderella that's actually one of our people is chatting him up, being like, come over here for this good. And so it's like the rule of threes, a push, and a pull. Like with COVID, it's like push, pull. It's like, hey, we give you all this false information, lots of masks. And at the end of it, it's like, oh, motherfucker, your job requires it.
Yeah. You
like that's the pull.
What do you think about the other thing in the aftermath is? Well, I'm just like watching Twitter, and it's a deluge of these, disaffected, angry leftists that are celebrating. It's just video after video after video after video of them celebrating Kirk being killed, saying he deserved it. Man on the street interviews where so and so is asking college kids, and they're saying, yeah, of course he deserved it. He was XYZ. What do you think about, like, how many? Do you think that's an op too, or do you think these are just these kind of people are really out there in the numbers that it seems like when you're looking at social media?
Yeah, I don't think it's the numbers that it seems like.
Yeah,
I think we're given cultivated algorithms that make us feel like it's a lot more people like that. I don't think most people are like that. I just don't. Yeah. On the other hand, like there is this part of it where it's like, the Republicans are really like, oh my God, I can't believe you celebrated someone's death. Like, I remember you guys like having a bunch of parties over Bin Laden dying and Saddam dying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember a bunch of times where you guys have been, I've heard carpet bomb the whole
Soleimani.
Who they just killed recently? They were fucking jerking off about. They love it.
Yeah, both sides get excited about death. So I mean, for them to get all like hypocritical about it was kind of silly in my book. But I think most people are decent people. I think most people, agree that, which is kind of what was stupid. Is everybody like, you shouldn't shoot somebody over their opinions. Well, duh. Like anybody you have to tell that to anybody you have to tell that to isn't listening. That's like saying you shouldn't abuse children. Like pedophiles know that, they still do it. So anybody that's sick is going to do that. But no, man, I don't think most people are like that. I think there's people, and honestly, how many of those leftists even really listen to Charlie Kirk? How many of them ever?
They just know what they've been told. They just he's on the enemy's list, and some of the, because I agree with you. I think it's overblown and it's the algorithm trying to sow more disruption. But to the extent that those people are out there, the left, that part of the left is very like they're just more honest. Like they're playing a different game. Like they've long considered themselves, because they're crazy, to be in this like existential these people are literally killing trans kids. They say that kind of stuff all the time, even though it's not true, but they do. Like a lot of those people do believe that. And it's like, I think that one response to this thing we're being shown about them is that their counterparts on the right are going to say, those people are playing a different game than us. Time for us to play their game. And you'll see it. You'll see the rhetoric, the violent rhetoric, and maybe activity and stuff shoot up on the right, and their counterpart of the right is I'd say. So if the like crazy trans blue-haired leftists have a counterpart, it's like the Groypers probably, which I don't even mind like Nick Fuentes that much. I don't know what he is. I haven't figured him out yet if he's an op or not. But like when I hear him speak, I don't mind what he's saying. But like, have you ever tried to criticize that? Because I fuck around on Twitter a lot. Dude, I've noted, I pay attention to this stuff. If I say anything critical, even if it's mildly critical of that dude, like I'll say something mild, like, yeah, for all his talk and his rhetoric, this guy doesn't have a wife and kids or anything. He's all this pro-family rhetoric. Where's the family? That type of thing. Yeah, where's it at? And dude, instantly a bunch of people with frog things will attack you, and they're like, they'll call you a homo or whatever, and you're like, what? Okay, like
wait a minute, isn't
it? Yeah, I think he might be, but it's just interesting. I think that this war, this is a meme war going on too. The Groyper stuff is big on. Those are guys that have skill with memes. Like they make those Keck people do make good. They have a skill set there.
Yeah, I think that cults are going to cult, so they all kind of both sides do that stuff. I have a friend of mine at work that I talk to, he's like, Republicans do that, like Democrats do that too, bro. Like he's smart, but it's like both sides do that, and what we always see is the extreme of both sides, right? But obviously, when you talk to people, they're not the extreme of both sides. Like most people are reasonable. Most people are actually kind of in the center. They'll get real hardcore online, but if you talk to them like a real person, you're like, yeah, okay, I know you don't like food stamps, but you don't really want that kid to not have food, right? Oh yeah, you're right. Like I mean, is food stamps, are they really breaking us? Is it really the military industrial complex and bailout? Let's address all that stuff. And most times you'll get people who agree. You'd be like, even if they like Trump, you're like, yeah, but he did this, right? Well, yeah, he did do that. So most people are kind of reasonable, but I mean, it is very much a meme war in that way. And like, that's why I say, like, it's very strange that this happened on the right before 9/11. And I was telling my friend, I was like, it's really weird because, I remember on the morning of 9/11 when I woke up, obviously we're all traumatized, right? Because it was this horrible thing. But there was this feeling of like unity that was there, right?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
But then this 9/11, we woke up, we're all traumatized again. But now it's like, oh my God, you stupid lefty, and that's what they love, that shit, right? They love it.
Interesting bringing up the trauma, because every year on 9/11, it's an opportunity for them to reinvigorate that whole trauma ritual that happened. Like, the world changed fundamentally on 9/11, and I think they re-energize it every year. And this Charlie Kirk thing happened, so it kind of caused everything to go haywire. But what I was looking forward to this year was I was going to use like Google search analytics. How you can get on there and search for, you can get data on how much certain terms were searched for, how much, news articles. So I was going to try to compare 9/11 propaganda this year to previous years, because my hunch was that they were going to do a big to-do about 9/11 this year, because they really need like farm kids from Iowa to go kill people in Iran and stuff. So they're putting white people back in the army commercials. They got Pete Hegseth running around. They're trying to make it like, there's 19 different Navy SEAL movies and TV shows out again. They're trying to get everybody bonered up for the big fight in Iran. So I'm like, I thought this year would be a big 9/11 year. But it's like you said, they redid the trauma in a different way. I think they knew they were out of juice. I think they knew. I think it's possible that they have such a tight understanding of the information environment through their AI and their analytics that we may have reached a tipping point on how many people. We may reach a tipping point on people that are like, I don't think 2 aluminum aircraft caused 3 steel and reinforced buildings to fucking collapse down on themselves. You know what I mean? Like they might have been known they were in. I'm just spitballing here, but they might have been like, we can't have a normal 9/11 this year, guys. Like the motherfuckers know. And so they're going to shoot Charlie Kirk. I don't know.
I mean, that does not seem crazy to me.
No, I mean, you have to like look at this. Like, I mean, if you're somebody like us and you've done any research into assassinations over and over again, they involve intelligence agencies. I mean, this idea that this guy like pulled this thing off and jumped off the roof like some expert sniper, and then there were also patsies that are not patsies.
He had patsies
there who kept the cops occupied. And this guy and then there's this one thing about this plane leaving and going off the radar and going off transport and all that stuff. And like, man, that's how intelligence agencies work. Like that's the stuff they do, and it's very hard to buy these single bullet sniper guy or these single sniper lone wolf guys because history tells us those stories aren't true. So you have to apply that same logic here. And like, again, who benefits from all this? And I mean, obviously keeping that Epstein, that nobody's talking about Epstein today. Nobody's talking about, like, think about if that hadn't happened, the biggest story would have been that they blocked the Epstein files again.
I didn't even hear. So on that point, can you tell us what you're talking about? Cause I didn't hear that.
The Senate voted to not release it 3 hours after
the vote they had. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
And there was like 3 Republicans like, it was mostly the Democrats wanted it, right? And the Republicans were trying to block it.
Something along those. It got blocked either way. But the point is like look at the timing of it and look at the timing of everything, and then again like with the intelligence teams, right? If you think it's an intelligence operation, well, look at all those guys who are around Charlie and the weird signals they're kind of doing.
Yeah,
the guy's touching his hat and stuff. And if you're looking at stuff like that logically, and I mean, yeah, maybe he just touched his hat. But also, if you understand this is how assassinations work, maybe that guy's a spotter. Maybe that, you know what I mean? Maybe these guys are sending signals. And I don't know. Maybe that guy really did shoot him from the side, or maybe he shot him from the roof. I have no idea. But I know that as soon as we start, every time they do something like this and we start picking it apart, more people pay attention. Like there's a bunch of normies right now on the left and the right who don't think that's the real story. And that's where we're really winning, because every time they do these psyops and every time they do these events, the backfire is people wake up because they just can't fool everybody. And some of these people who are right on the verge of waking up, like this is the last straw. It's just one thing too many where they go, man, this just does not make sense anymore. And so that's the only good part about this. Hopefully there'll be some other ones, but some of that is just what I'm seeing among like normies who still believe a lot of major stuff, but are like, I don't think that guy did that. And that alone is a victory for our cause anyway,
So they got a guy in custody now?
Yeah. Yes. And they show you like they show you like a security camera picture and then like his mugshot, and you're like, that doesn't look like the same guy. But that happens every time too. There's always confusion. It's just,
Well, one of the confusing things is, right, like there's video of him jumping off the roof with his backpack and running away. But then later they said they found the gun in the woods. So what did he do? It doesn't
look like dude, he jumps off.
So he took the gun apart, put it in his backpack, and then ran and reassembled it. And
he did not take that rifle apart. You need tools to take that stupid rifle apart. It's not a breakdown, fucking 6.5 Creedmoor from some assassin movie. It's a fucking like Mosin Nagant.
It wasn't a Shy-Tac 408.
No, dude, it was like to your previous point about normies waking up, like this total normie Democrat dude in my work, like when this happened, was texting with his teenage son about it, and they like, he's the most normie guy I've ever met, frankly, and he's like pontificating like he didn't buy the story. Like him and his son were like, I think what happened is it trickled up through his son, and if I had to guess, like the teenage son and his group of friends were the ones who were critical, but this guy was like, yeah, I don't know, what do you think it is? This doesn't make sense, type of stuff. I'm like, really? Interesting. And that's the thing. It's the more, I think the other thing that'll change is the less stigma there is about challenging these narratives, the more, because people are weak, the more, people don't want to bear any social costs or anything. A lot of people, they can't bear it. They can't be in the out group. They have to be. But once there isn't a social cost for challenging this stuff, I would expect to see a lot more people. I think a lot of people want to challenge it, but they're It's just like they don't want to rock the boat in any way. You know, they're just like they're barely making it as it is. I don't need to be the weird conspiracy person, you know?
Sure. I mean, I've taken hate for a long time, and I can tell you for sure it's definitely a lot easier now. Like when I first started, and hell, I had a guy write me just like a week or so ago, and he's like, "You're the first person that ever told me about 9/11. Turns out you were right." And that was 20 years ago that I was talking to this guy. Like, but I mean, that is what happens, and that's what one thing I really believe in is that people like us speak up. It gives other people the courage to speak up. Like it gives them a voice to be like, "Yeah, this guy was right." And when they see that you're not scared, it makes them feel not as scared, you know?
Yeah.
There's a quote like Marianne Williamson, like is that one that's like, our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. Like that whole quote. I love that quote so much.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because it's like, it's your light and all your darkness that most frightens you. You ask yourself, who am I to be powerful? You're a child of God. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so others won't feel small around you. You're born to make manifest the glory of God. Like there's anyway, as you speak, you give power around the others to give them the power to speak. Like there's something powerful about speaking the truth and not being afraid to be ridiculed and attacked. And I believe that. Like I was just attacked by a guy who apologized to me a few years ago, came up to me at a concert and said, "You told me 10 years ago I would come up to you one day and apologize, and I'm here to apologize. You were right."
No way.
I swear to God. And then he's just talking shit about me again. I'm like, "You're an idiot, man. Your apology meant nothing." Like, because he was saying, I was trying to come up by talking about Charlie Kirk. I was like, "I've been doing this for 20 years, bro. I always talk about what's going on." But
yeah.
I mean,
You were trying to hustle off the, come on.
Yeah, like I just got all my pages banned. How am I making money, bro? I get banned every time I get anybody. But it was, I'm just trying to like search for the truth. But there are those people, but you do wake people up along the way, and there's a power to that. And I believe it's the right thing to do, because I believe that I really do believe that the truth resonates. And I've just talked to enough people over the years where even people who don't agree with me, because I've been doing this for so long, and I'm really good at like talking, especially one-on-one. Like we can argue online and you can ignore what I'm saying, but if you got to look at me face to face, I'm going to ask you hard questions in a really nice way, and you're not going to be able to really answer.
Well, and then face to face, they can experience that you're not in bad faith. That's the problem with people. That's why they don't really like to debate a lot of times in person and stuff like that. It's hard. You're talking about memes like, and the truth, right? So like if you make a meme and it propagates, it's like comedy. A joke, like jokes aren't going to land unless there's an element of truth to them. If you make the premise for a joke and the people don't buy into the premise, then they're not going to laugh at the punchline. The premise has to reflect actual reality, and then you can point to the absurd part of it, and that's the joke, right? So in the meme, no matter what you probably experience is, the meme propagates. If it propagates, then it's pointing to a truth, or some aspect of it is true. Then whether or not somebody likes that truth or not is a different issue. So they can get mad at your meme or whatever and attack you and whatever. But if they're getting mad and they're reacting to your meme, it's not because the meme isn't true. They wouldn't care. If it wasn't true, they probably wouldn't care.
That's 100% true. And I also think that, when I talk, because people do get in their little right left bubble, but a lot of times when I'm talking to them personally, and once they realize that I really am not in the right left bubble, and they'll say, but what about Obama? And I'll be like, yeah, he sucks too. Or they'll be like, what about Bush? Like, yeah, he sucks too. Yeah. Once they see that I'm like really am consistently and I have integrity, and I really am like, no, this is what I think is right, and I don't care what side does it. If you did it and it's wrong, I'll call you out on it. Then people realize there's an honesty to that, and they're willing to acknowledge like, oh, okay, maybe that guy isn't like the hero that I think. Maybe he's not playing 5D chess and all that kind of crap. Like maybe there is something to it. I think a lot of the reason these people fight is because they're both hypocrites. So when you're like, that's what's so funny is watching Democrats and libertarians. I mean, and I'm sorry, Democrats and Republicans like try to own each other by showing each other with the same picture with the same pedophile. Like, oh, you're both with pedophiles. Like you're not winning. Like you're both lost. And so and when they see that, like, and on that right left cult, they know they're not seeing honesty from the other person, so they're just going to keep staying in their little cult.
Yeah, they feel empowered to. Yeah.
Dude, that's with a true message. It has a way of ringing, and then they hear that truth in there. So I really do believe that the truth has a way of resonating in a way that lies don't. And there's a higher frequency and a higher power to being like, what if this isn't true? What if this is true? And if you say it in the right way, and like you say, you make it a joke. I do that all the time. I just say something funny. And sometimes my memes are meant to like trigger you, meant to piss you off. Sometimes I'm doing it because sometimes I'm mad at you. It's not you, the stupid sheep that are out there. Like sometimes I'm like, you believe this because you're a dumbass or whatever, you know. But and sometimes that's meant to make you mad. But sometimes I'm like, I'm just trying to make you think like, oh, maybe that like a 9/11 meme. I just made one the other day, and it's just a real common one. I've done it before, but I was like, you know, what if I took the flight past the 9/11? I was like, what if the most secure airspace? What if they scheduled drills on the morning of 9/11 that left the most secure airspace in the world vulnerable to attack? I'm not saying it did happen. I'm just saying, what if? Because it did happen, obviously. But I'm not making a statement. I'm just saying, hey, what if there happened to be like war games that morning? And so it doesn't put people on the defensive so much. And so I feel like there's still a lot of work to be done face to face with waking people up. Like a lot of my message has been lately, because there's so much black pill stuff and there's so much like, you can't wake anybody up anymore. It's like, that's not true. It's actually easier now to wake people up than it's ever been. People are waking up all the time. You're just not seeing that in your feed because they don't want you to see the great awakening. They don't want you to see the great noticing. You know what I mean? So they hide that from you. But I think when you talk to people in the streets in real life, when you see the way people are, like you said, your normie friends, like, I don't believe this stuff. You know, like what, 6 years ago, would he have done that? Would he have questioned it? Right. So we are winning. And that's why they're getting more and more desperate, because you can't, there is this tipping point. You can't keep, once people wake up, they don't go back to sheep. They don't go back to believing the same stupid thing anymore. Like they might go back to some of it, but there's always going to be this part of them that keeps learning and keeps growing. And I really think we're winning, honestly. I think that's why they're doing this desperate stuff.
I will say this, and it's to reinforce what you're saying. I work with some fairly serious people on a daily basis, right? And on more than one occasion, some of them that kind of know what I do off to the side have come up to me and be like, so tell me more about this farm you guys are working on, right? So there's the idea that maybe living in a different manner or going back to a better way of living is starting to like trickle through people's minds. And then there's also like, because when I bump into somebody that I think has any sort of interest in knowing a better side of reality, you know, I'll just take them down the rabbit hole. I'm like, hey, like pull up a chair, man. Like, and the amount of like serious people that sit at my desk while I go through Eyes Wide Shut.
Nice.
You know, and the black nobility and how that's exactly what we're dealing with, you know, like, oh, hey, look, there's these two families that have been bouncing back and forth as the gray pope. You know, there's a lot more people that are like, there's a lot more people that are like,
what's up with that?
Let me hear a little bit more of that. Like it's like I said, man, I work with some people that, you know, the powers that be don't want to wake up, you know, because they're very
trouble.
They're very energetic men. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
and that my thing is, I've always said that I think they're more worried about Republicans. Like Democrats are kind of already into the socialist idea, like a lot of the things that the identity politics and stuff. But Republicans, like for the most part, obviously everybody's different, but in a general sense, are really like mostly a lot of God-fearing people, a lot of gun people, a lot of people that have like real strong family values, even if, you know, again, not everybody, but I think they're more worried about that. Like I think the person who puts God above everything else can't, you know, you're not going to put the state. And then if the state isn't your God, then that's a problem for them. Like I feel like I think that there's a beauty to everybody waking up the way they have. And that what you're seeing right now is that awakening. And I really do believe that's why they're doing all these. And that's why we're being hit every day it's something, because every day people are waking up. So they're just constantly trying to bring our energy down and make us fight and argue. And that's why, you know, when we do stand up and we do talk like this, and more people do and I agree that's the same thing I've experienced, like over and over now, these people who never would have talked to me about this stuff are like, so you really think like, so money's not real? It's all fake? Like, you know,
right.
You know, and I was like, yeah, you know, so it's like, to me, that's a giant victory. And like all these things that they do are just proof that they're getting more and more scared of us.
Yeah, them spazzing out I think it is a good sign. You know, I think you hit on something with the AI. Like, okay, so obviously, like they unleashed the internet on the world. I don't think the internet's working out exactly how they hoped it would. You know, and I think this is why. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons why the AI arms race is so central. But like, you can imagine them, you know. Like it's now common. Like if you look at, you know, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok or whatever. There's a lot of videos on there that are AI that are becoming difficult to discern whether they're real or not. At some point, it will be impossible, completely impossible. It's probably already impossible for most people, but even a very discerning person that's like willing to sit there and like really think about the video and watch it a bunch is going to have trouble. I watched a video of Trump talking a bunch of shit that I thought was real for about the first 25 seconds of it until he said some really outrageous shit. And I'm like, damn, that's a very good AI, right? Okay, so my point is, at a certain point, though, if they push too hard with that, I think it's possible that people just decide everything on the screens is fake and they pull back from it, right? We're all not right now. We're all over the screens all the time. And it's like, but we act like it could only go one way. Like, oh my God, we're so addicted to our social media and it's only, well, that could change. Like people could decide based on pragmatic reasons and convenience. And for all the reasons they like it, if they make it shitty enough or gay and fake enough, they can be like, people can be like, fuck that. And then shrink back. Dude, the three of us grew up without this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was fine. We did we had a blast. It was great.
Well, and even even your son was asking about analog Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, let's get some paper and some dice. This is and some pencils.
You could do other shit.
This is real.
Then what are they getting? So right now, this is the internet itself is their primary. Dude, I mean, we just walked into that Internet of Things thing. Like when they started making like the toasters online, we should have been like, what are we doing? But people were like, oh, cool. Or, like your fridge, like my fridge can text me and tell me I'm out of pickles. It's like, dude,
it's called the World Wide Web. I mean, it's a fucking, all their verbiage is always correct. World Wide Web.
Yeah.
Right? There's a spider that eats you in the middle of the web, or it's called the net.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, what the fuck is a net? It catches
no, it's short for network,
Yeah, like Netflix. Yeah, like, oh, hey, waste your life watching infinite fucking movies. Cool, we got you in the net. Got you, motherfucker. Like, yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you said the AI thing because I was thinking about that too. It's like this is like the first event where AI is a real problem with this because there's even a Trump video where his pinky disappears and people are like, "Look, his pinky." And I was showing my wife. She's like, "What happened to his pinky?" I was like, "I don't know." And we are now officially in the part where even normies know you can't trust anything anymore. So like all these videos. So I agree 100%. And I have a 16-year-old daughter and she was telling me like, she was like, I wish it was like that. Cause I'd tell her like, we just left on our bikes and our parents didn't know where we were. We'd come home and the street light was on. And like, these kids miss that. These kids want that. Like, they don't like this, I'm sure they enjoy some of it, but there's other part of them that I guess instinctually feels that like, this isn't quite right. Like I should be hanging out with a bunch of kids. We should be a community together. Like they miss that part of it. And I agree 100%. Like when I get banned a lot of times, I mean, I would use my backup profile, but like when I got banned and I wasn't on for like a year or so, I felt great. I didn't
right.
Like I don't, it may put me in bad mood. Like I'd watch some YouTube, like funny videos or something, but I wasn't sitting there arguing with idiots.
Yeah, you weren't. Yeah. Dude, I hit on something you said. Take your average 16-year-old, dude, not some Chad, rugby player or something, just your average like guy, right? And tell that dude that if he wants to talk to that girl that he likes from English class, he has to call her house where her father or her older brother might answer the phone, and he's got to ask to talk to Cindy on the phone. Guess what? Nobody's ever calling anybody, dude. Like, bro, that's what we had to do. We had to fucking call a chick's house, dude.
Yeah. At any moment, somebody else in another room could be picking up, and you had to like hope you heard the click or something.
Dude,
like that. You were trying to spit some game. Like
my brother and sister were 2 years apart in high school. He was older, and they shared a upstairs kid's phone line, or the phone. Yeah, they both had a phone, but it was one phone line.
Yeah.
And like my brother was posted up at all times on his Nintendo smoking weed after school, and so like the phone would ring, and he'd pick it up and be like, "Hello," and it'd be some kid like. Can I talk to Alyssa? Who is this? This is Timmy. If you ever call here again, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to get the whole football team to rip your nuts off or whatever. And then she would cry for like a week.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. This is what we're missing out because the kids are all, who knows what they're doing, sending each other titty shots or something when they're like 12 years old.
Well, dude, just blasting their brains, man. That's that. Yeah, I'll just keep that one to myself. But dude, like they're fucking mind wiped. You can almost tell at what age they were given tech because they're trapped almost in that
paradigm.
Like it's almost like if you're abused as a kid, you sort of like are in that year.
You regress to that year.
Yeah, it's Yeah, I mean, fuck, dude. I mean, I like listening to fathers because I'm trying to formulate my plan against this fucking nonsense.
It's tough
dude.
it's tough to raise kids in this world right now.
Because
I homeschool my daughter, and and she'll still she still plays with the phone here and there and all that stuff, but she also like digs up worms and stuff like that. And she's smarter than most of the kids her age, and is more, and she's not getting the all the outside influences of the bullying and the there's still the online stuff, but she's not connected to it as much. And I feel like we were really blessed to grow up in this time where we where from my my perspective, like, yeah, we were just riding bikes. There was, exactly, you had a landline called the house, and then but I was fortunate enough to live long enough to be in this technology space where somebody like me can reach millions of people too.
I feel the same way about it. Like, I do like the way I grew up, but I am a big fan of novelty, and like what all the going to war and all that stuff was for me. It's like I want to have these like experiences, and this, like, what's going on right now is very novel. Like, I would not have guessed this reality, even 10 years ago, if you'd have told me what the world, maybe 10, maybe no, but I don't think so. Like, even 10, but certainly in my 20s and 30s, I would have called you a damn liar if you'd have just described to me what was going on,
Yeah, finding out that the world is 180 degrees from what I thought it was my entire life is key. It's just like peak novelty, man.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question, dude, for Winston. Like, just as because we always talk about all kinds of wild shit, but it's also good to just hear from another person that's been looking into it for a long time. So you've been looking into the meta narrative, right, for a long time, clearly longer than we have. And so what have you sort of settled on, man? What is your assessment of what we're up against in a nutshell, like in a tight paragraph? Where would you say we're at?
Well, the quick thing is always like we're being ruled by satanic pedophiles. I think that's mostly correct. I think there's a lot of roads that lead to Israel, but I think it's much deeper than just Israel with the Bank of England and stuff like that. And like you say, the black nobility and I think you can trace the stuff back to the pyramids. I think mostly what you do is our job as people are trying to wake people up is just talk to your average normie to convince them that there is this group of people who are pulling the strings behind the scenes. Like the problem is that we use words like Illuminati or New World Order and all this stuff. And they all have these connotations to it. Even deep state. Like deep state was something we used all the time. Now it's a Trump thing, and I always said criminal cabal because that was kind of the most. It was kind of it's a term that explains what it is, but it doesn't have any of those connotations where you associate it with all this other stuff. It's criminals.
Good.
Jordan Maxwell called it organized crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. It's because that's essentially what it is. I still pretty much operate under the belief that what I do was a calling, and that I was, I was put on a path early in my life to find God and to realize that I should follow what I believe is right, even if everybody laughs at me. And that set me up to do what I do politically. I believe that my memes come from that collective consciousness that we all share. And that's why they resonate with people. I like what happened to Charlie, like the minute that happened for like 3 hours, I was locked in, just bam, 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 bam. Like and I felt bad because I wanted to do some stuff with my kid or whatever, but I could just feel it. They were just, and all these ideas kept coming and all these questions I had, and I just kept making and then they were going all out. And I think that's why I got banned. But I choose to believe that good wins in the end, no matter what. That even though intellectually I could look at all this stuff and be like, I can never beat these people. I'm pissing in the wind, right? I'm rowing upstream. It's just me, my little voice that they keep censoring, and they have all this propaganda. However, every time I turn around, I see my memes on other people's pages, and I see all these other people waking up. So I just choose to believe that our job is to wake people up to this group, to try to follow God, to try to do the right thing. Whatever your belief in God is, whatever, as long as you're not like doing evil stuff and hurting other people, I have no problem with it. But I choose to believe that what we do is important, and that maybe we do lose, but in the end, like I think we do win in the long run. And I think that the fight is what's important. And if I give my life for it, then that's the most noble thing that I can do with my life. You know what I mean? So I'd rather not. I'd rather have a nice, peaceful life and raise my kids and have everything go well. But when push comes to shove, like I feel like I was put here to do this. And the reason that I've been so successful is because I followed a path that other people told me was a waste of time. But those same people, none of them are doing interviews with people like you. None of them are reaching people like that. So I feel like all of my blessings have been because I followed this path, and I think we can all do something to make this world better. We can all do something to make a difference, and we can all plant a seed, and you don't necessarily see it pay off immediately, but you do see it pay off. So I just always go by that basic philosophy of tell the truth, try to find. That's why I think the truth movement is the only group that I've ever been a part of, because the only part of that group is like searching for the truth. For me, that's pretty basic. I don't pay any dues. I don't have to, there's no group think. I don't have to join a club. It's just, I'm searching for the truth, whatever that might be. And I think as long as you're searching for the truth and your heart's in the right place and you're trying to do the right thing, good things happen. And no matter what, even if we lose, so to speak, in a physical form, I think we win in a greater glory for doing the right thing.
I like all that a lot. And I like, just to emphasize something, like you talking about searching for the truth. This is a main, distinction between the paradigm of a person that believes in God and then a atheist spurg is they fundamentally believe that the truth is created by man. Whereas, you clearly believe, and I believe that the truth is discovered. Now, it doesn't matter like what your conception of the creator is or who created the truth or whatever, but that's a main distinction. And this is like even the creeps, like the control system or whatever we want to call it, the organized crime, they're in the business of creating the truth too. Like I don't think that they're atheists. I think they believe in I think they believe in a divine power and they're opposed to it. But like they're in a different camp as the little atheist spurg weirdos. But they're both playing this game where the creeps create the truth. They believe they can create the truth, and then the spurgs, they just believe that science. You do a bunch of experiments, you measure and weigh a bunch of stuff, and then you proclaim the truth, which obviously the truth is discovered.
And to get back to what he was saying earlier, like that whole symbols thing. That was because people couldn't read, but people could understand symbols. And there's this part of your lizard brain that kind of sees that and goes, oh, that means that, and that means danger and that kind of thing. And you see, as you guys well know, all of these logos have this hidden symbolism in it. And it's all this kind of dark magic. And I believe that as those guys are here doing their evil stuff and their dark stuff, that people like us are sent in to be like light workers and say, no, this is the right way. That's wrong. And, we make mistakes too, but we make a mistake. We're never doing it on purpose. Like I've never purposely misled anybody. I've made memes that were wrong and I just delete them. Like, sorry about that. I made a mistake. Like I'm never purposely, where they're purposely doing bad stuff. So where they have their negative symbolism, I think we make our own positive symbolism with, whether it's a meme or a song or whatever it is. And that those symbols do kind of in this weird spiritual way, kind of battle it out where they have their terrible meme going across and then our memes are going back fighting across it. And I just happen to believe that they can, like, it takes twice as much energy to do their negative stuff as it takes me to do something positive. And my positive stuff will go 10 times farther with no effort at all for me. And they have to spend all this money and do all this negative, all this power and all these algorithms to try to get their message across, where my message flows freely. And on the backs of other people who are like, yeah, that's how I thought.
Evil hate, like the devil, the evil, whatever, the adversary hates to be ridiculed. So like when you can, and it's like with the corporate logos too, like, these are sigils. These things are imbued with all this power. But once you get shown like a couple of those breakdowns, the first time I saw those, like the ones with all the corporate logos and like kind of an explanation of, what they probably point to, it immediately it was shocking to me a little bit. I'm like, damn, I've been looking at that symbol my whole life and thinking it was one thing. But then it also immediately from that point on, when I saw the symbol, like let's just like Apple computers or something, like it's like funny to me. I'm like, you fucking tricky bastards. And it takes the power out of it. It's like, so someone like you ridicules it, points it out to me, ridicules it, and go, look what they do. And I go, yeah, look what they do. And then guess what? It doesn't have its dark power over me anymore. You're not going to, if I buy an Apple computer, it's because I understand the capability and I understand the purpose I want it for, and I'm making a conscious decision. It's not because I've been hypnotized into doing it by some sigil.
Yeah. Well, like I hope. Well, you guys were talking about you got the all CNI or whatever. And I've got it smashed on my.
Yeah. I got it too before I really knew better. I just thought it was.
Well, I got it where it's being smashed apart. And
nice. That's cool.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, well, I'm stealing your symbol and I'm making it my own thing.
Yeah.
So I've got a pentagram tattooed on my upper back because as a young devil dog,
edgy devil dog,
I was an atheist and I wanted the symbol that every religion disliked. So now that I'm a more enlightened person, I have an entire back piece where the pentagram has been broken. It's all cracked and it goes out into Fibonacci spirals.
That
and
is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that's cool, dude. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I broke through the fucking programming, man. One of the things I like about the way you do business is what we talked about earlier, is the disaggregated way that the information gets out. Because I'm a solutions oriented guy, and I'm always trying to figure out a way to like solve this problem, right? that we're in. And one of the things I heard a guy say, and I always mess his name up, but is a dude that points out like Swiss symbolism. Is he's like, you have to take up this fight against evil as an individual. Like, they have organized crime. It's very difficult for us to have organized good, because it's so easy to infiltrate groups. It's so easy to target a person like a Charlie Kirk, like, oh, your group has a figurehead, cool, we'll just smoke that fucking dude. However, this meme warfare is disaggregated. It doesn't even have to be Winston. You know what I'm saying? If he's got 50 friends that'll put Winston's information out, they can't target that. So as we look for solutions, we should look for disaggregated solutions where it's like, it's person agnostic, it's so once again, to ask the OG, man, like, you've been looking at this for a long time. Like, what do you, like, when you think, do you think of big solutions? And so, like, what do you think? Because they operate in the open, dude. They've got Tragedy and Hope. They've got the Fourth Industrial Turning. They've got books that are open fucking blueprints for how they plan on enslaving us. Like, so I'm operating in the open, dude. I'm breaking away to make a side civilization. Like, how do you see, if you could write fiction of a group of people getting out of this fucking situation we're in? We'll just say, for the purpose of the conversation, that it's a different planet. It's not this one. So whatever solution you talk about, it's okay. It's not like calling for fucking violence or anything. Like, we'll call it birth. The people of birth need to get out of the fucked up situation they're in. They're all green, by the way. They're not us, but the dark green ones don't like the light green ones. But whatever. How do the people of birth unfuck this, dude?
Well, I think it comes back to, as you said, it's like personal individual responsibility. Like, there's just too many people that know and don't. If most of the people that knew that we were right would just speak out, because how, as well as I do, there's a bunch of people that kind of know you're right or agree with you on some stuff, but they won't say anything. I have friends like that, where they believe me and they'll listen to me, they'll talk to me, but they don't post about this stuff. And so more of those people have to step up. Because it really is every individual fight, every individual voice becomes more powerful and adds to the choir of voices. Even from another planet thing, or just from the planet that we're on, it still comes down to each person kind of doing their part. I think, like, it seems like a simple, cliche, stupid thing, but I really think that's the only thing that works. And that's why they try so hard to separate us. That's why they try so hard to keep us fighting with each other, because they know unity is the thing that will destroy them. If we figure out that Democrats and Republicans aren't really so different from each other, and we actually have a lot more in common than we've ever had with these weirdos that are running this shit, like, they're done. I don't care how deep your bunker is. When the guy who built your bunker is on our side now, he knows how to get in your side. We'll pour concrete over the hole, and your ass ain't coming out ever. You can stay in there and die, you son of a bitch. If we're together. So, a lot of it is just getting people together, which for me is a lot of that is trying to break their cycle of Republican and Democrat, vote harder every 4 years. And so most of my effort is put towards that. Like, just get these people who still believe it, to start looking at things from a deeper level than just Republican and Democrat. But just as important, to encourage those people who are sitting on the fence or who know what's going on to speak up, just do something. I tell people, I get it. You don't want to get fired. You don't want to be somebody like me. You don't want to be ridiculed all the time. Make a fake profile. Make a fake name, make your own thing, and then go and troll local news posts. Like, I've told people, like, come get my memes and just put them on there. Start a conversation. You don't have to lose your job over it. I get it. Like, people don't want to get fired. I get that. I totally understand it. But if you know and you say nothing, you're part of the problem. And there's just too many people that know and say nothing, and they are the problem. Because if they would just speak up, the rest of everybody, people are followers. And the reason more people are doing it now is because we've made it safe, right? Because now you're not getting ostracized as much. Well, the more people that stand up, the less ostracized. And then those people who are on the fence are going to start following us. And then the people who are left are going to look like idiots, and they're going to follow us too. But there just has to be more of the people who know but don't say anything have to take a stand for it. Like that, to me, that is the biggest problem. Are those people who, those fence riders, those people who agree in secret, those people have to stop being cowards and just take a stand, look around and be like, I don't want my kid growing up in this world. And I know it's scary. I know you don't want to be put on a list. I get all that, but the chances are good. If you've looked at enough videos to be on our side, you're already on the damn list. They watch
the
videos. They
Welcome
know
aboard.
whether you are or not on a list is not going to be the
yeah. So just like I mean, even if you don't believe in God, like you believe in your kids, you want your kids to have a good life. Like you, I mean, clearly, there's obviously even both sides now know that there's some group of people who are blackmailing our politicians. Like clearly. Obviously, you know, so like just those people would step up for. So for me, that's why all my time is spent trying to battle that right-left matrix and trying to encourage people to not be. That's why when I get banned and I get right back on. I'm like, fuck these guys. I'm gonna do what I want because I want people to see like you're not stopping me. You're not gonna scare me off of it. I don't care. You go ahead. Like, but you do whatever you're gonna do to me. You're not gonna like scare me into being to being quiet and to being fearful. Like, and people think like I'm paranoid and I walk around. I'm happy most of the time, man. I laugh most of the time. I'm joking around with my friends most of the time because my faith is in God. I'm not angry all the time. I get angry online sometimes, like arguing with people, but for the most part, man, I don't walk around paranoid and scared all the time. I know people think that though, right? Because the way I talk about stuff online, like he must walk around with a tinfoil hat all day long and be told. But no, I joke around and I actually feel, I think, more joy sometimes, and I feel more free sometimes because I know how quickly all this shit can end. And so I appreciate this time where I appreciate that we're free enough to do this stuff. I know that there's coming a time where it's going to be illegal for me to exist. I know what lists I'm on. I know there's coming a time that, realistically speaking, I'm going to be in trouble. Like I understand that's coming, that there may come a time where I just get pulled out by my mailbox and get a bullet in the head. Like that is literally the times that could come, but I'm not going to sit here and be scared about it because then they won. Like if they take your joy, they already won. If they take your hope and then they've already won. And that's what that fear-based mind control is about, right? Be scared, hide in your house. So what did I do? I threw parties. Like everybody come to my house, let's party. Like because I wanted to fight that fear with hope, like and fight that scaredness with optimism, you know?
Yeah. That's pretty good way to wrap it, I think. That's pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. That's a good thing to slap the table on.
Yeah. Can't beat that. Dude, thanks so much for hanging out, man. That was a good talk.
Let's do it again sooner, but we'll just jump over to something wild like space.
Oh, yeah. I love talking about space.
Yeah. As a teaser, what's your parting comment for space?
My parting comment for space. Well,
let me ask a pointed question.
Yeah. I like it. I'll say this. The first meme that I ever actually made was when I was in 5th grade, except it wasn't really a meme. I didn't know that. It was right after the Challenger shuttle had exploded. And this is how crazy my brain worked at 10 years old. I knew the joke that I was making was going to get me in trouble. I knew that it was going to seem bad, but it just popped in my head and I couldn't get it out of my head. And I still felt bad that I thought those guys had died, but I drew my little picture with the crayons and I put ashes, ashes, they all fall down. And now I got in trouble, but I was just being funny. Like I just was being, and I knew like I was smart enough at 10 to go like, I'm going to get in trouble if I do this. But the joke in me, and now of course, years later, I'm like, wait a minute. All these guys have doppelgangers with
all college professors somewhere.
Yeah. And I started looking, I was like, there's no way this is real. And then I looked up, there's Judith Resnick. There's Richard Scobie. I was like, holy shit. And so my thing about that is that I think we get lied to about everything. NASA is obviously lying about stuff all the time. So when your source for information is a known liar, then how are you supposed to know what the information is? My only problem with that is that normies are never really going to listen to that.
They hate being told the moon landing's not real. It makes them vibrate and shut down, dude.
All that stuff.
You know this. they love NASA, dude.
Well, I stumped the guys at work because I was like, hey, who double checks NASA's work?
Yeah.
Right.
Like where's the normative authority for the shit they're putting out?
Right.
Peer review.
Yeah. Who's the inspector general of NASA? Like who do we register a fucking complaint with? You know, like, hey, let me see your numbers. Let me hire a disinterested third party to go over your fucking bullshit.
I guess for me, the thing is that when I was back in the day, we talked about Agenda 21. and then they changed it to Agenda 2030.
2030.
And, yeah, and then we
That's good news, right?
yeah, at the time we kind of felt like we won, right? Like we felt like, oh, we kind of made them push this shit back to 2030. Right. And then 2020 came around. And in 2021, just like they said, they're taking shots. Everybody's taking shots. They pushed this man. And all these things started happening in 2021. And I was like, damn, they kind of tricked me. So now I look at it like Agenda 2030 is Agenda 2030. And that's 5 years away. So I look at that stuff like it's an interesting conversation to have. But how does that help me wake normies up to stop Agenda 2030? Because to me, that's my number one priority, is to expose that and to stop that takeover, that surveillance state, 15-minute city, all that stuff. And so every time I look at stuff like that, even though I love having this, like I love the Tartaria or all the old, that whole theory of
kind of off that. I was deep into that for a minute.
It's super interesting. Like I just think it's really interesting. It's fun. Like with the Challenger thing, I don't really care about that. If anything, nobody got hurt, which is super interesting. But can I take that to a normie and have them understand how the Federal Reserve works? No. So for me, that's a very limited hangout type of technique to try to wake somebody up, because anybody that's going to listen to you about that stuff would listen to you about anything. But there are normies who would listen to you about Agenda 21 who won't listen to you if the first thing you do is start saying,
you might blow your credibility on NASA.
Yes.
You're really trying to get them to not do something important. Yeah, that's a good point.
And honestly, that's really the point. That's really one of the main points of NASA, is to keep your mind out in this fucking like imaginary world. It's
fucking adult Disney.
Like, oh, hey, we're gonna go measure the winds coming out of Uranus or some shit. Like,
oh, dude, they fuck with you all the time. That's my thing.
We talked about
it's like, I'm like, there's there's an art to whatever they're up to, and some of it I'm like, dude, they really did publish this paper that was like measuring gases out of Uranus.
That's why I brought it up. We talked about it on episode.
I'm like, look, and it's like you want to just grab every normie and be like, okay, look, calm down, just take a breath. You don't think they're fucking with you? Read that.
Right.
And they go, no, there's explosions on Uranus. And they're like, oh, okay, I gotta go. Sorry, but I gotta get a Mountain Dew. I gotta get the fuck out of here. Right. What's going on?
Yeah, it's almost like those Disney guys that put all the sexual symbols in cartoons and stuff. Like they're just trolling you in that way.
Yeah, they're fucking around. Yeah. Which I do appreciate. Their malevolent little, like, so like there's some kind of, once you calm down and you're like out of like fight or flight, all the grabblers are trying to murder me mode, you can kind of just step back and, as a connoisseur of their scams, be like, that one was stupid. That one was pretty good.
Yeah.
You kind of got me on that one,
Dude, game recognizes game.
Yeah, game recognizes game.
And
for sure.
One thing I will say about these evil wizards, dude, is the fucking balls on these people.
Well,
dude.
it's not balls, it's chutzpah.
Chutzpah.
That's dude, when you learn what that word means to them, really.
Yeah.
Dude, chutzpah, like me and you were friends from that tribe.
Yeah.
And like I got you to pay me $24,000 for a car worth $14,000.
Yeah.
The deal, I had enough chutzpah, and you weren't able to defend yourself from it. So it's like, you're not really mad at me. It's like the chutzpah on him.
Yeah. All right.
It's kind of like this is what they do. It's cultural.
Yeah. I remember when I watched Fall of the Cabal, and it was all that Q stuff, and they were like, at the end, they're like, JFK, if you look at his memorial from the top, it's like a Q. I was like, oh, I was like, that's a good one. Oh man, that's I didn't believe it, but I was like, dang, that was stuff right there. Nice touch.
Where the fuck are the Q people now? Are they?
They're out there, bro.
They're
They're trusting the plan. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they still think Michelle Obama's in Gitmo, and JFK Jr. is going to parachute in with JSOC and save the country. Dude,
the rest coming any day now, man.
Yeah, any day. Trust. Well, hey, Patriots, trust the plan.
Fucking wild, man.
Yeah.
All right, homie.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much, dude. We'll let you go.
Thanks again.
Yeah, we'll close this off on here, and then we'll just talk for a little bit, and then we'll be out of here, man.
All righty.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to us. We love you all out there. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell your friends. Check out Winston. Search Prophetic Memetics everywhere. You'll find them.
Hell yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Later.